All right, welcome to week 3 at the NECC. It is Thursday evening. That means we have some League of Legends on the docket. Now, League of Legends not coming off of a week 2 match, as unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties with the Riot client, they weren't able to play their game on Thursday. So, might feel a little cold heading into their weekly match against Lesley University. Did play them last season, did beat them last season, and finished out the season 6-1. Lesley, 5-2. So, we're looking forward to a competitive match. Excited, Eric?
I am very excited. It's a very good match. It's a little weird looking at our team's record. They are 1-0, and it is week 3. The math does not add up, but that is okay, as we have explained why. And being in the League of Legends world, it is a best-of-3 format, so each team can battle it out, and I would not be surprised if it goes to 3 games here.
Very much so. So we actually see the draft is live. We're going to head right into the draft. And here we go. So on the left, we have St. Lawrence in their draft. On the right, Lesley University. Now, notably, very surprising, but Lesley opted to not pick for blue side, which blue side gets first pick. And Jinx is a contested pick, meaning both teams have someone on their team that plays Jinx. So kind of surprising off rip, Lesley choosing to give up that pick for game 1. So Saint's going to capitalize with picking the Jinx, following up with a Taric into an Ashe Braum for the side of Lesley. We are going to see the Jarvan, which immediately tells us, as members of the Saints, that Lesley is going to be looking for a dive-type composition. Jarvan doing a great job with their utility, being able to get in under a turret and then get out. Now, Amumu, on the other hand, the Saints jungler, is a lot more peel and engage. So plenty of bans still coming through as we see towards the bottom. There were already 3 bans for each side, and right now St. Lawrence is going to be banning 2 champions back-to-back. Lesley just banning the Swain, the 4th champion, from the bottom right side of your screen.
If you ask me, I think Saints should be a little bit cautious here of Lesley baiting them into picking that Jinx, because Jinx is vulnerable if someone can get on top of her. And as we've already seen with the Jarvan pick, that might be the direction they're going with these last 2. So just want to make sure that the Saints, with these bans, are able to prevent the opponents from going a full-on dive comp, and that they were just baited into picking this Jinx, because that might have been Leslie's game plan coming into this.
Very much so, and it might be really interesting to see whether or not the Saints mid laner, Nate Whittemore, goes for the Akshan. It's been a character that he's been working on, trying to build up and get better, has great roaming potential, and it could be exactly what the Saints need to at least even out that bot lane pressure now that they have an immobile AD carry locked in. So we see the final ban for Lesley, the Nasus. Quite surprising considering the top laner of St. Lawrence doesn't really play the Nasus. So we'll see what the Saints end up banning. They finish off their bans with the Aurora. We're getting back into the draft right here. We do see Lesley starting off with their first pick in this second part of the draft with that Syndra, which unfortunately is another contested pick. Nate does play that, so he will not have access to that. He's going to opt for the Orianna instead. So we're seeing a very team fight heavy comp for the Saints, and the hesitancy in my voice is this week in practice. We were talking about not being too reliant on our backline on the Jinx, and unfortunately that seems like where we're headed.
Yes, however, I do want to point out that I don't think all is lost, as their abilities might have improved over the last week, as that's exactly what they have been working on, even though they know it is their weakness. That's why they were working on it in practice. It's what you do. You work on your weaknesses. And maybe they feel very confident with these team fights. And Amumu has a lot of CC, and they have the roaming mid laner potential here. It's possible that they are reliant on team fights, but there are still other avenues for them to reach victory here. It's not just a one-size-fits-all approach that they need to take.
Definitely quite true, and we do see the Shen coming in as the final pick for Lesley. So what started as a Saints-sided draft looks like you're right, Eric. This might actually bite them in the butt, as Shen is another champion that can find their way into the bot lane, across the map, pop their ult. Now, Sunny going for that Ornn into a Shen kind of does mean that Sunny is still going to have the ability to scale really well on Ornn, because Shen really can't punish Ornn in lane. But it's kind of looking like all the chips and all the cards on the table rest on the AD carry for St. Lawrence and the AD carry for Lesley. Now, which team is going to be able to kind of put them in a better position?
Yep, it's going to come down to that bot lane battle. In our bot lane, we have, if we pull over to our lineup real quick, we have bot laner ADC Gabe Blake. He is a senior. And we also have the support, who I believe is being played by James today. James normally actually plays top lane, but he's also very well-rounded and can play a whole bunch of different roles. Other members of the team include Nathan Whitmore, a junior who's playing mid, Sunny Mo, sophomore, and Luna Chercheretti, sorry if I mispronounced that name, and they are a first year. And they have actually been a very good addition to the team, very welcomed, very enjoyed, as they did not know where their season was going to go, and they were able to pick up Luna, and they have played fabulously so far.
Definitely. Luna, being a first year, stepping into that jungle position, a position that requires a ton of coordination with the team. It's definitely one of those positions that you fear if you make a mistake, the rest of the team is going to fail, and she has done an exceptional job jumping into a role that requires a lot of coordination, strategy, and communication with some champions that she's still starting to master, like that Poppy, like that Vi, but with champions that she already has a good comprehensive understanding of how to execute the Amumu and the Hecarim. So very much hoping that kind of can keep everything locked and loaded. She'll be able to peel anything off of the back line for the Saints, and that'll give us the opportunity to scale into the late game.
Yes, that the CC on Amumu is going to be very important, especially in those team fights. If they can land it, and they can, if the opponents dive to the back line, but then they're crowd controlled, which is CC, which means that they are unable to do anything. It is often only for a second or two, but that second or two is very valuable. And if the Amumu is able to do that with the opponent's dive, there's a counter right there. But it needs to be highly coordinated, and it needs to be done cohesively.
We're definitely, if we look at the comps and kind of get an idea of what the biggest differences are between how either team wants to function, it's definitely the Saints. They have good front to back line, but the problem is they have no access to the back line of Lesley. But Lesley, with the Jarvan, they do have access to the back line of the Saints. So I think the way this game is going to be played is very much how well can, or at least can the Jarvan even get onto Gabe, the ADC for the Saints. If they can, it's going to make Saints and their lives much more difficult. If they can't, maybe a little more easy.
And I think another interesting point about this draft specifically is the, as you kind of mentioned, that the ability to get to the back line on the Saints side is actually a weakness here. So they might not be able to force engagements when they need to, and it might be kind of a patience battle for both sides of the team. On one side, Lesley not getting baited into bad engagements, and on the other side, St. Lawrence not taking engagements that they can't win.
I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I think actually the jungler on the side of Lesley is their top player, used to be Masters for multiple consecutive seasons, so they have quite a lot of skill. And I'm assuming they're probably picking up already on kind of what we've been laying down as to the weakness of the St. Lawrence University composition. I do think what's quite interesting is there is a lot more engage actually on the side of the Saints than Lesley. Sure, you can engage with Jarvan going in solo. Braum ult can knock multiple people up. Syndra ult can stun multiple people, but Ornn knock up, Amumu R, or Orianna R, or Orianna Ultimate, essentially kind of can just trap everyone in one little circle. So I think the name of the game is going to be, can Taric actually pop his ult and prevent Jinx from getting bursted down fast enough to where Jinx can get at least one kill or assist get that passive online, get that move speed, that attack speed, and use that to try to convert to a second or even third kill, and from there be hopefully game, set, match. But it sounds like the only time that's going to happen is closer to the 15-20 minute mark. So this is going to be one of those longer games. We're still waiting for that spectator delay to finish up, about 45 more seconds, and that's just to make sure that there is integrity from both sides. Neither team kind of has an idea of what's happening in the game at the exact time. Even us, the casters, we are 3 minutes behind what the athletes are doing in game. We can actually take a quick look and see that we're going to quickly wait up for the room cam to be set up. So in the meantime, we'll head over to the seasonal standings to get an idea of where everyone stands. So as you can tell, St. Lawrence University just one win on the board, only one game on the board because of the tentative reschedule. And we do see Lesley University, they have a win and they do have a loss. They have played their week 2 match. Saints still need to get that one rescheduled. Probably going to be towards later October, and then everything will start to kind of come together. But now we're going to take a quick peek, check out the Saints in the room. So as you can see, they're actually in game. They've already loaded up, and you can see them scoreboard, getting their items purchased. So we see on the far right, that's Luna, the jungler. Then one over, sitting right next to her, is Gabe, the ADC. And then over to the left, we have James, and then you have Nate, and Sunny's actually just off the left side, so isn't visible right now.
Yes, and as you did mention, there is a very good chance that this game ends up being one of the longer games, and it ends up testing the mental fortitude to stay concentrated, to stay focused for this entire time. But on the same note, I would not be surprised if one of the bot lanes gets out to an early lead here in the first 15 minutes, if that becomes decisive. And we see that the Lesley Lynx are very aware of this, as they are a 5-man going to bot lane, hoping to get lucky with finding an enemy. However, the Saints went 5 people up top.
Yep, so it looks like we have what was kind of like a 5-point bush cheese for the Saints, and it looks like a 5-man invade for Lesley, but neither really turn into anything. They just get some extra vision down, and the Saints did actually put a ward on their red side, so they did spot out where the opposing members of Lesley were coming from. It seems like everything's kind of starting off with just trading a little vision, so both teams, the Saints and Lesley, should have an idea, or the Lynx actually, and the Saints, should have a better idea of where each other's jungler are starting, as jungle pathing extremely important in a game like this.
Yes, and that is huge to making sure that you don't get caught off guard, which is what would happen or what would need to happen in order for them to get out to that early lead that could be decisive despite the game going a long time.
We see every single member on both sides of the field are pretty much getting into lane, just starting to CS, and CS essentially means they're trying to kill these minions with a last hit to get a little extra gold in their pockets. And you do see on the central, the very bottom of your screen, there's numbers in yellow that indicate how many minions each side has essentially killed. We're going to see level 2 for the side of Lesley. So Saints are going to take a little bit of poke damage, but wave is coming towards them.
Yes. That level 2 is very important to be aware of, as it allows for an opportunity for you to potentially die very early on if you are caught off guard by it. You need to be aware if the other team is going to clear that wave before you are and back off, because frankly, you can get punished for that. And the Saints did that for sure.
We did see what looked like a ping from Lesley trying to make a play towards the Raptors of the St. Lawrence, where currently Luna's farming her camps, but didn't seem like they wanted to go through with it, or they were just pointing out where the St. Lawrence jungler is. We do see Luna's pathing towards bot side. We do see Jarvan's pathing towards top side. Need to take a little poke damage in the mid lane, but early on in the game like this, kind of can't confirm a kill unless someone makes a serious mistake. We do see James taking a little bit of extra poke, and there comes a Jarvan. Doesn't land the knock-up. Stun goes out. Nate might be forced to flash here, and he is going to be forced to flash. So no flash on our mid laner, the Saints, and Nate's probably going to have to burn his teleport as well. But Jarvan having to complete his clear, gank early, does mean that right now Luna actually has better jungle tempo. Now Luna is walking over Vision, the bot side, as we see Shen's going to be taking a turret shot, gets knocked up as well. Taking quite a lot of damage from Sunny.
Unfortunately, it looks like the Link's top laner is pushed up, which would have been a great opportunity for the Amumu gank. However, on the bot lane, it's the exact opposite, and both junglers pathed, in a weird way, the wrong direction. They would have been better off if they passed the other way to get in a gank in.
Looks like Luna at least is going to secure that bot scuttle, and they're just going to kind of just put an end skirmish in the middle of river. Sunny's burning a lot of mana. It's got to be careful here.
Yep.
Actually, and now it looks like Jarvan actually messing up the EQ combo. So you saw him kind of point his sword, but if he doesn't put his flag far enough, he actually doesn't dash to his flag. So
I do believe the Saints also pinged that their Jarvan was headed down towards the top lane, which is why Sunny didn't follow up too far ahead and get caught off guard, so he could be under that safety of his turret.
You see, it's definitely heating up in the bot lane as Saints taking a lot of, and they're also down a level on their support. And bot lane extremely volatile because it's not just one person leveling up, and now as a level up you kind of get a 300 gold lead. It's two people, so it's upwards of a 600 gold lead when you have people leveling up. So only got to be careful.
Yep.
Nate might try and sidestep the stun.
The bot lane ends up being or operating based on the very basic principle of 2 is more than 1. So everything that happens is twice as important, or twice as impactful on the ground. As they are starting to push down the Saints under their towers, some battles are coming out, however, nothing is happening of sort except...
Yeah, seems like the bot lane of Lesley doing a great job pushing the Saints in, dealing a lot of damage, burning that flash of the Taric. And Sunny somehow wave in a horrible spot for Wizard, because it's just right in front of his tower, but very low on mana. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to stay in lane for much longer. Looks like Nate might get caught out here. Does get knocked up, and there's the stun from the Syndra, and that will be first blood for Lesley University. So unfortunately, Nate hovering towards the top side of River where he doesn't have vision, because he does have vision on the bot side of River. That is going to punish him right there.
Yep. I do believe that he previously, and I think it might have slipped his mind that that ward might have been no longer on line, to say the least.
Lesley will take an early gold advantage. And he's got to be careful right here. Both laners have that level 6. Enchanted Auto gets blocked. Really low HP, but Shannon's going to be able to survive that. Does still have ult if he really needs to get out of his position.
Yes, I do believe Sunny might be able to get a plate here if the top lane does recall. Looks like they canceled, however.
What's actually kind of interesting is despite the kill being 300 gold, actually the first one is a little more than that, being for Lesley, the gold lead is not that significant because you'll see that there's actually a CS lead for almost every single laner except for that mid lane for the Saints right now. So Saints doing a good job just focusing on farming. We do see Jarvan in the bot lane. Gabe burning his flash early, and there is going to be a stun that comes out, and Gabe better just keep running for the hills, and he will.
Yep.
So that's going to be, fortunately, another kill for Lesley University. Saints not having vision in the river and pushing up a little too aggressively. The Saints are going to get picked off right there. That will be a kill on the enemy 80 carry.
Yes, and James did a good job. He was the support. He knows that he is not the win condition. It is Gabe who is right next to him, and it is much better if Gabe survives than if James survives. So he decided to essentially make what may have seemed like a bad play, but in reality was a very smart sacrifice.
Now we do see that Luna does have her level 6 online. So Mumu, what they really usually want to do is do a lot of farming, maybe do a level 3 gank. But now that she's 6, she has her ult. We do see Jarvan, again, hovering towards that mid lane. And it's like Nate's going to have to... And then, unfortunately, Jarvan has ult and 6. Nate's going to use Vortex. Doesn't look like it's going to be able to do enough damage. And Nate will get picked right there.
Yes.
So unfortunately, just not in a good position. The Jarvan EQ can gap close, can use his ult to get on top of that Orianna in the mid lane. So Saints certainly struggling early on in this game. They do have a comp that scales. So the question will be how well can they stay in it. Definitely a tough match for Nate, given the fact that through most of the season, he's been pretty much unstoppable.
Yep. It's a little bit of reversal of what you're used to. You're playing a little bit from behind. In the first game, it was almost a blowout for them. So it's, because they've only played one game, it's a little bit of a different mental position to see them in now.
Very much so. So it seems like one of the big things that the Saints are going to have to kind of navigate is that they have a ton of they have very little vision control in an aggressive manner. So if you look at kind of how Luna's trying to gank here, it's almost like she just has no openings to even find a position to gank. We do see it looks like an engagement for the side of Lesley, trying to slow down the Jinx right there. There is a level 6 online for both members. And we do see, it looks like they're going to look to disengage on that ult right there. Get some more chip damage in. There comes the ult. There's the cleanse for the Jinx. Braum ult as well. Can Gabe try and stay in this one? And it doesn't look like he's going to be able to. Heal popped as well. And that will be the bot lane of Lesley picking up another kill. That's 2 kills on the Ashe. And now they're starting to sit on some shutdowns.
And I will say that the positioning there by James, once again, he was the sacrificial lamb, but he kept them in the game by making sure their ADC, Gabe, who's their win condition, did not die. And that is exactly what you were supposed to do, and that's exactly what he did do.
It looks like because the Saints don't have vision control of the Grubs pit, Jarvan's actually going to go over the wall and try and just get the Grubs for himself. He's going to be able to probably secure that objective. It does seem like the Saints are finally going to try to utilize the jungle pathing of Luna, and it seems like she might come towards the middle of the map. But it looks like Lesley actually able to ping that out. So Lesley with some exceptional game sense, despite no vision, they kind of have an idea that Luna might be nearby.
Yes, Luna has to watch out. However, I do believe that their jungler is in the top, so Sunny has to watch out as well. I do not know how aware, but there is a ward there, so Sunny should be aware that their jungler is in their current positioning. As bot lane Drake is online.
So Saints looking like they kind of want to set up for this Drake. Now the Jarvan being in the top side doesn't really have the ability to try and contest it, but Luna is right now in base. So the question is she going to immediately go towards Drake? Is she going to try and defend her camps? And it looks like she's going to hover towards where that Drake is. Now, the big question is, can the Saints really even contest it? As we do see a little bit of a skirmish breaking up on the top side of the map. Sunny and Shen doing a little bit of poking on each other.
Yep. Their Jarvan is also in Amumu's jungle, taking Amumu's farm, which is very important, as Amumu needs all the farm that they can get in order to really have a good impact on the game.
We do see Luna kind of coming in towards the mid lane right here. Sunny in a 1v1, or now suddenly a 2v1, doesn't land the knock-up, and that will be Jarvan picking up another kill. And in the meantime, Luna unfortunately wasn't able to get on top of the Syndra. Syndra didn't burn flash either, so Saints not able to find one, and Lesley will find one there.
There is a window here for Luna to head down bot lane. However, I don't know if they will make that risky of a play. That is, it would be an all or nothing kind of situation there. But their jungle was top lane. There was a window there, but now I expect there to be a battle for Drake to happen soon.
And it looks like Luna's just going to look to secure that scuttle. Now, notably earlier, they did secure the scuttle for Grubs, but Jarvan was still able to EQ right over, and it looks like Jarvan could counter gank this Amumu in the bot lane right now. Lesley doing a really good job with how they're setting up their vision. It looks like the Saints are going to kind of give up this positioning, which is a wise decision, or else they would get themselves in a really tough 3v3, and it looks like that might be exactly what we see coming. Doesn't land the stun. They do go in. Luna does have ult.
Yep, let's see it rip. There you go. There's the stun.
Yep, follow-up flash for Luna. Unfortunately, will not be able to get the kill, and that's going to be 2 kills for the side of Lesley University. So Saints, unfortunately, really at a big disadvantage here, and early on, if things keep going the way they are, I don't know if they'll even have the opportunity to scale late into the game.
Yep. As I said, this game may go long. We could very much expect that. But if one team is down too much come 15, 20 minutes, that would be impossible for them to get back.
It seemed like it was just a little bit of miscommunication right there, because I actually do think if Luna queues onto the back line and then waits the duration of that Taric ult to then use their stun, maybe the Saints could have tried to turn it to some extent. But it just seems like a little bit of miscommunication there for the side of the Saints, and that will... It looks like Syndra going in with the ult, burns the flash to try and get the stun, and unfortunately Nate can't flash out of the ult that Syndra used, and that will be a 3rd kill for the mid laner of Lesley University. Lesley also picking up the Mountain Drake, which gives bonus resistances. So Lesley up 8-0 with a 4K gold lead, and the Saints definitely need to find some way to get back into this game. There are shutdowns on the board, but if they can't secure those shutdowns, I think it's going to come down to just playing a team fight quite well.
Yep. And I also would... would point out that this top lane battle relatively interesting, but it hasn't had a lot of impact on the rest of the game, which is kind of indication of how top lane should be played sometimes. As a top laner yourself, what are your thoughts?
I think that I agree with the rationale of why they had to blind pick an Ornn for the top lane. They kind of wanted a little more front to back. I'm surprised they actually counterpicked with a Shen because Ornn is a tank. They can get punished. There comes the stun in. Ball up Braum, Jarvan ult as well, forcing out the flash on James. And as you can tell, because of the item lead, they do so much damage that there's very little that the Saints can even do in the bot lane to prevent a dive like this. And because it is a dive comp, I guarantee you, yep, they're going to look to just, and they actually even just destroy the turret. So both members of the Saints caught, backs against the wall, tough positions, and Ashe is going to pick up 2 more kills.
Yep.
So tough position. I don't know, I guess, as a top laner, I don't think I would have went with the Ornn because just in practice we were talking about being too reliant on that front-to-back comp. And the whole idea of a front-to-back is that we get a strong ADC and we just force them to fight our front line where our back line can be part of the game. But the problem is if our back line is too weak, there's just not anything we can do in a situation like that. And I think that's unfortunately what the game is at least turning into. So the Saints definitely need to find some way to at least slow down the progress that Lesley University has made right here. And we see Sunny has to be careful because Jarvan is floating upwards towards him.
I would like the Saints to try to, well, it's still early on, try to use numbers in the map, as it looks like Sunny, our top laner, is in a bit of trouble. Mumu's going to come over to help. There is a chance to get the shutdown on the Jarvan.
Wow. I did not expect that to work, but it did, and Luna's got to be careful.
That's a scary sight
Gets
right
stunned
there.
by the Syndra, follow-up all as well, pops R, but at this point, Syndra 4-0, she does a lot of damage, and Amumu not packing any resistances, or not any magic resistances, just physical.
As I do believe that this little skirmish is going to continue. There is a turret coming in from the bottom of the screen, but I do not believe he will get there in time. And I think at the point after the Amumu was lost, the Saints should have, I wouldn't even said cut their losses because they got a shutdown. 1-for-1 there was not necessarily the worst, but trying to make the app to the situation, kind of running perfectly the enemy you could possibly.
So Saints down 1-14, 6K gold lead for Lesley, and at this point, the game is very much kind of in a snowball phase. Even though they did get the shutdown on the Jarvan, if the Saints can't either secure more shutdowns or prevent themselves from getting picked and solo killed, I don't see how they're going to be able to find a way back into this game. So we do see some level advantages for Lesley across the board, 2 in the mid lane, 2 in the bot lane. So the Saints really just have to turtle, and we see right here, unfortunately, that's what happens. They have a lead. Luna can't even play in her own jungle. It's going to be another kill going for the side of the Lesley University, the Lynx.
Yep.
1-15. So definitely a tough game right now if you're a Saints fan. But can't say it's going to be over, and Gabe cannot be checking that right there, and he's going to get punished. Unfortunately, that'll be another kill for Lesley University.
Yep. It is being right now played out by Lesley in a very safe manner. They're getting vision across the map. They're not pushing up too far alone. They're their lead. You know, they're kind of, if you're a soccer fan, they're parking the bus kind of with their lead right now. They're trying to just hold on to what they have because, to be honest, what they have is enough. The pressure is on the Saints to make it play.
Definitely. So with a 7-0 Ashe, they kind of, I mean, Ashe is going to be on her second item really soon. At that point in time, it's like, unless you have 3 members of the Saints sitting on Ashe's head, Ashe can probably kill anyone on the side of the Saints. So I think the only way the Saints can try and manage a game like this is they need to do something with vision control. They need to pair up, push angles together, and try and find a way to secure a pick. Because at this point in time, I don't think that they can even take a straight 5v5.
They have to work the map, they have to figure out, and they have to somehow get into a numbers advantage. That is very difficult as you can see on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, those little flowers in red are the vision wards that Lesley has, and they can basically see if anyone walks over them. It makes it very hard for the Saints to manipulate the map in a way where they can get that 3v1 or 3v2 that they so desperately need.
We'll see more of that skirmishing on the top lane, and it looks like the Lynx are going to start the objective in the bot lanes and see more because they don't have vision control. They take so much damage stepping into some of these angles. Lynx are going to be able to secure that drag, and Ashe can just pop alt here and look for the mid lane, and that's exactly what they do. So unfortunately, the Saints kind of just not aware of that pick potential of Lesley University, and they're going to get punished again. And we do see Braum collapsing on the bot lane. Nate's going to get stunned, and follow up all forces the flash, but they will be able to probably run down Nate right here. And there it is, the slow on the Ashe and the fall from the Syndra. And yeah, Gabe's in a really bad position, forces his flash. Not going to mount too much.
It's not going to do enough. Amumu's not a big damage dealer on their own, that is for sure.
So Lesley going to be able to push into this mid turret, probably even actually secure one of these inhibitors.
I would also expect Lesley shortly after to go towards Rift Tailor right now. Maybe pick Sunny on the way up as a little bonus for their 19 kill difference.
But definitely I think that the Saints going into, well, likely be this upcoming game, they got to change something up with their strategy. I think that it's clear that the front to back doesn't necessarily work, and I'm not a huge fan of playing a really passive top laner knowing that that's not gonna change the outcome of the game. As you can tell, they've been kind of beating their heads in. The top laners have been beating their heads in the entire time, but it's not really changing any of the momentum in the bot lane. And the Shen has the ability to do that, but the Ornn really doesn't. So maybe if the Ornn was like a set or something like that, the Saints would have a little more pushing pressure on the top side of the map. But we'll see what they do going forward. Down 10k gold. So that advantage by Lesley is only growing.
Yep. And it is also kind of accurate to say that I do think the Saints kind of got baited into picking the Jinx and going for that front-to-back composition, and that the match preparation was not as strong as Leslie's.
I think there was the big miscommunication, I think, was the fact that if Jarvan, at the beginning of the game, if Jarvan, which can level 2 or 3 gank, chooses to level 3 gank on mid, and Aramumu is actually pathing into bot, I think that the Saints need to do a better job of communicating how to control that bot wave, because if you noticed, by the time Luna was in a position to gank, there was no wave management in the bot lane to where the wave was actually bouncing back, going all the way to Lesley University's turret, and at that point in time, there just is no gank opportunity.
Yep. And we can go even well before that opportunity at the beginning of the game. They put the vision down, so they knew perfectly well when Luna, the jungler, was going to be heading towards the bot lane, and I believe it would not be a stretch to say it was intentional by Leslie's bot lane to make sure they could be under their turret list this year.
That indeed. That looks like right now Luna caught out in a rough position, and this might be St. Lawrence jungle going down, low HP, and there's the ult from the Syndra. And this right here will likely be Lesley taking game of our best of 3 series. And we're seeing the Saints trying to do everything they can to fight to the death, but it's just too little too late. We're even seeing Sunny, who is arguably the strongest member of the Saints, who's just absolutely shredded by the Ashe with their second item.
Yep. Nate, again, on maybe even double-digit HP as opposed to quad-digit. And that is almost certainly the end of this game. As you see the GGs in the chat on the left-hand side coming through, the Saints will be likely looking for a different avenue in the draft, likely looking for a different avenue to switch it up, as it's now on them to make a move in one direction in this best of 3.
Very much. So we'll be right back with a quick little break. Players going to go to the bathroom and set up the lobby for match 2. And we are back from our little halftime break. So we are hopping into game 2 of 2. And we're going to be seeing draft pulled up in just a moment. Apologies for that. Ran a few technical delays, and now we're going to get ready to hop into game 2 of this best of 3 series. Saints currently down 0-1 against the Lesley Lynx. Does seem like the Saints at least still have some energy to them, getting fired up for this second match. Unfortunately, a very dominant performance by Lesley, so Saints certainly going to have to dig deep, find something for this second match. And unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing the draft in the exact same way as we saw in Game 1. We're actually going to be watching the follow-up client draft that occurs in the League of Legends client. And you'll notice that the picks are from top laner down to ADC, as we see Gabe showing off his jersey and his gamer tag on the back. But the client draft will still give us an idea on what champs both sides have selected. Right now, it seems like we're just kind of waiting for everyone to get settled, and then we'll be hopping into the match.
Yep. James Fry, as it is now blocked by the chair that Gabe normally sits in, has his famous thinker pose on, which he is very known to do when he is in the deep thought and mix of his intense gameplay thinking. He is the captain of the team. He is the one who organizes drafts. He prepares pretty much everything for the team. He schedules. He does a lot. He's also an awesome dude, and you can see he is. I don't know what's going through his mind, but it is a lot. And we will also see that the rest of the team does still have some energy, it looks like, but it is not the most smiles, not as many smiles as we saw at the beginning.
So the Saints going to have to try and find a new strategy into this upcoming game. I didn't get to see everything about what they were going to change up with their draft, but I did hear some conversation about different top laners. There might be a jinx in this upcoming game. I don't know if that will be us picking that jinx, or that it was actually them. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I think the Saints need to kind of just get a quick mental reset in there. Esports can be very volatile, just like every other traditional sports game. You might have one team dominating one match and then a complete flip of everything onto the other match.
Yep, and especially when the drafts go differently and it is a different set of characters playing against each other, just like a different set. It's like take two teams, make them play one game of basketball, make them play one game of football. Sometimes it can be honestly that different depending on how the draft goes. And as you would know, maybe a basketball team is not the best football team.
I completely agree. So we do have, actually, as I am speaking, I do see that looks like the draft for the Saints is starting up right now. So they're actually kind of just doing blind pick instead of doing one by one. So interesting just adjustment of how they were going to finish out their draft. But we do see what looks like a Ash Braum coming back up, or this could just be Hovers. Not 100% sure until everything is locked in what the final draft looks like. We will pan over to that when we see more characters getting locked in, but we're still seeing a lot of hovering. But second match of the week should be underway, or second match of the day, should be underway in just a minute. Now we can actually kind of head on over to that. And there we see, so we're seeing some champs getting selected and locked in. So we see the Lee Sin in the jungle for the side of Lesley University. And then we're going to see the Orianna, Ash, and Braum. And are they going for a Rise top? I have not seen that in a very long time. That could kind of be a brutal pick to a certain sense, just because Rise is a poke mage. But we're going to see what looks like the Yone, Hecarim, Vhagar, Jinx, and Taric. So we're going to see a repeat of that same bot lane. Now, notably, the jungler for the side of Lesley is another jungler that can do a lot of these dives. So I'm hoping that the Saints have something kind of in their back pocket for why they kind of replicated what's pretty much going to feel like the exact same draft.
Yep. I will note that that Nate Whittemore, the mid laner, is playing on one of his comfort picks, which is the Vhagar, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he has played that time and time again. And I will remember that it all kind of started with a mid lane gank from the Jarvan. And hopefully that does not happen. And I think putting Nate on his comfort pick is one of the best ways to do that. Now, hopefully it's not too comfortable, but I don't think there's a lot of comfort going on in the Saints gaming room right about now.
So, game is now underway. This is game 2 of the 3 series, and it does seem right off the bat that we're going to see the same intention from Lesley, which is going to be a 5-man invade towards the bot side. Will James get caught off guard? He does drop an early ward, so to immediately see some members and start backing off. There it is. We're just going to see a ward for the side of Lesley, at least see James as well. So both sides exchanging vision. Not as much this time around for both sides.
Yep, that is a different start from the Saints. They did not all 5 go top, and because they spread out, they were able to kind of prevent what last time with the opponents getting a bunch of visions in the bottom quadrant there, as you can see, as the map can sometimes be divided into 4 different sections.
Definitely. So this round, neither team is really going to know, or I guess more importantly, the Saints, Lesley is not going to know where Saints is starting with their jungler, with their jungle pathing. This game, I kind of want to say that that's certainly one way they started off the game on the right foot. The Saints didn't have an idea of where the jungler for Lesley were, but Lesley had an idea of where the Saints jungler was starting. We do see some aggressive bush positioning. Saints choosing not to walk in with the wave.
There is some awareness there that they are in a bush. I believe so, as some early battles are being tossed side by side, but nothing too serious.
Mm-hmm. So kind of surprised that they don't actually walk in with the wave right there, because if they do, they actually can immediately avoid the Q damage from the Braum. Because they don't take the opportunity right there, we're going to see James take some poke damage.
Yes, much easier said than done. However, when you're actually playing the game, there's a million different factors. As you can tell, this is not the most simple game, and you have to be doing all this thinking in real time while pressing the buttons. You do not have our luxury of sitting back here and doing absolutely nothing but talking.
Very much so. So we see Sunny goes in, going to get some more poke damage. Does have that lethal tempo, so I think that, or no, sorry, has fleet footwork. But does get some good chip damage off on Wizard. So Sunny is playing a more I want to say like a backline dive hyper carry type champ. So Sunny, if he can outplay Wizard in this game, because did a pretty good job playing him last time, might have some really good value. We do see already the Lee Sin coming into the bot lane. There's the flash for the Taric. So similar, just like last time, the three camp gank.
And I would, there's some pings coming out for the junglers to watch out. Nate might be heading right into the Lee Sin unknowingly. I do not know how the vision goes. I believe he does notice and backs off. As it kind of was a little bit of ring around the rosy between the two junglers. Lee Sin went one way and our jungler went the bottom way. And they did not interact, which I believe is beneficial for the Saints here. As there is a gank opportunity if the Saints can manage the wave properly on the bot lane.
So, I mean, I think there could be. The problem is right now the Saints are going to have to, Hecarim's going to have to go in from lane because they have that tri-bush warded. And my guess is I don't think the Saints are aware of that. And so Luna, we're going to see Luna go through the bush. Yep, so they're going to get spotted on vision. And because the wave is pushing into the Lesley, see, they're going to be able to just kind of walk back. Like they know they don't have to contest this wave. They can walk back.
Yep, and as we see, the Yone is making a very, very aggressive play, unable to get... Nope, was able to get the pick, but did it secondarily, so that is a negative for the Saints, to be perfectly honest. But he does go 1 for 1, it's not the end, as he is trying to make sure that his good gameplay does not seem a little wasted, as it kind of did in the last game.
So we're going to see what, I guess, Nate and Luna try to burn the flash of the mid lane Gnar, but unfortunately does not get burned. Now, Veigar, really good pocket pick in this particular game because Veigar is very strong in the late game, might be exactly what they need. And notably, but Sunny actually dying in that 1v1 is actually very good for him because the wave still crashes underneath Ryze's tower and is still bouncing back to him. Ryze loses out on that XP. So really good positioning from Sunny right there to try and kind of start off his laning phase a little bit better. We do see a significant CS lead in the bot lane, so I think some nerves from Game 1 getting to the Saints right here because they're definitely playing it a lot more safer than they normally would.
Yep. And I think it's important to note that even if the links on the side of Lesley are not able to get some pick spot line, if they just out CS, at some point it's just as valuable as getting kills, if not more.
Now, the hard part is the Saints always have to be aware of where the opposing jungler is because, again, they're running a dive composition. So, as a Jinx Taric, until you're at least level 6 and you have your ult online, you can't really feel safe under a turret. And even then, with the amount of disengage that a Braum and we actually see Sunny might try and go in for a kill here. Does get the knock-up. Ryze might not have used the root. Hasn't used it yet. Can he get a second kill off on the minion? And he unfortunately cannot. So Ryze will be forced to retreat with low HP. And he also does in that bush. So Lee Sin's not going to be in a good position to punish that.
I do think that this top lane pick Yone has worked out very well for the Saints so far. And I do expect it to become part of the game or a big factor in the game later on.
So the Yone, I mean, the one downside definitely is that the Saints don't really have a front line, but the opposing members of Lesley don't either. We do see Sunny is 6, so if he can somehow kind of catch the Ryze off guard, he might be able to get a kill here. It looks like he's going to kind of instead choose to just farm for the wave, let the wave push out towards him, Ryze into a more difficult position.
Yep, he has been keeping the pressure on constantly, and I think that's what he hopes to do. He doesn't want to let the top lane breathe at all. He wants to keep high intensity, keep pressure, and make sure that there's just absolute, domination on his end, and that he wins all the engagements.
We do see what looks like the Yone coming from the back line, or sorry, the Lee Sin coming from the back line.
He is somewhat aware. He might be able to get out here. I do believe he has flash.
Knock up. And unfortunately, he will get picked. So some good ideas from Sunny, but doesn't have river vision in the river bush. He has it in the tri-bush. And when Lee Sin is missing for too long, that little spidey sense that's telling you, might be somewhere. He's probably finished with his camps, and he will strike in the top lane, and that will be another kill for Lesley University.
Yep. I do also think that there is a gank opportunity here towards the bot lane. But again, those wards, let's see if... And yep, indeed, the bot lane has started to back up. As you can see in the bottom right-hand side of your screen, there is the mini-map of where everyone is. The Saints are the blue circles, and the red is Lesley.
So so far, you're seeing... Well, actually, let's see, the Saints might try and secure this objective right there. They do have the Prio, and Lee Sin is just not in a good position at all. So I guess maybe Lee Sin's looking for a dive on the Yone on the top lane, but pretty... Gonna be a little difficult to try and get that done. So Sunny getting some good poke damage off.
Yep.
And Saints will secure that first Drake. So at least I think they're definitely in a better position than they were in the previous game. I think we're gonna see in a moment, Luna, is she gonna realize that her top camps have been stolen, and what's she gonna kind of do there? I don't know if she can necessarily fight the Lee Sin one-on-one.
No, I absolutely cannot. That is a bad matchup right there, as the Lee Sin is headed towards the top lane, towards Sunny, trying to take away Sunny's advantage that he has built throughout the game. But he is going to be able to get under this tower, and that gank is going to be pretty much just a waste of time for Lesley at the end of the day.
So I'm confused. I think Lee Sin tried to flash behind Sunny and then ult to kick him, and I think that he just kind of like missed the kick or didn't go through, or he ended up flashing and just not even actually kicking.
Yep.
Sunny might actually go for a dive here. Gets the knock-up, ults into the Rise, and is able to disengage. So an excellent job from Sunny. Even with the odds against him, he's able to still find kills.
Yep. And the Saints are aware, or at least some of them are aware, that they are taking those grubs, and that Sunny is not entirely safe. As you can see, he is backing, as there's now 3 Saints in the bottom trying to counter the grubs take, but it doesn't look like you get much value out of that bottom lane gank. Mid lane has to pay very close attention, but he is able to get out of there with his life, as the Saints are starting to dive the tower.
Yep, so
Past the tower.
Saints looking to get aggressive themselves. They do force Ashe off this entire wave. Now it looks like they will back up themselves, and it actually seems like they don't even... I don't think that Gabe got the tower gold right there. But Saints showing some signs of aggression. I actually think Nate didn't need to flash mid there, because the only CC that they had in the mid lane was if Orianna landed her R. But it looks like he will burn his flash just to be safe.
Yep. It is a, you know, not the best cost-benefit analysis, but it is also most definitely not the worst. As the Yone here, getting some nice damage.
Yep, and Luna caught in a tough position, and will burn Ghost to actually escape the ultimate from Orianna. So excellent job from Luna, avoiding what could have been pretty tough. Sunny in 1v2. Can he try and outplay this? Will have his Q2. Actually misses it on the Lee Sin right there. Unfortunate, that one missed Q2. Because of that, he's not going to have his dash. I was actually thinking for a moment he was actually going to try and space the Lee Sin and end up just trying to kill the Rise right there and then re-engage, but unfortunately doesn't land it.
Yes, however, I do think when he gets back to lane, he's going to have quite the advantage now that he was able to go back to his base, buy the items. He has a CS advantage. They are equal in kills, and all of the kills that he got, experience-wise, he soaked up all of it, whereas all the kills the Rise has, they had to split it with their jungler.
So Sunny, what's interesting is even though Sunny actually has a lead right here, he actually is an item down still on the Rise. So Rise probably has a cheaper first item that they can build. They look like they're going to go a little more of a tankier build. And from that, Sunny actually kind of had a little disadvantage in lane. Now, of course, the moment Sunny gets Bork, he's going to be a lot stronger on that Yone. We'll see when that happens. Should be close to that. But the Saints at least doing a better job holding their own in this second match of our best-of-3 series.
Yes, they are very much being aware of when the Lynx are trying to get those aggressive wards that cost them so dearly in the game before.
So we do see that Lee Sin floating around that bot side of the map, actually looking to reset. So the Saints probably aren't going to have to worry too much about Lee Sin looking for a dive play. Sunny misses the Q and the ult, but actually burns Rise's flash. So got a value there. Rise in a position where next time around, if Sunny has that Q2 up, going to be able to force some pressure. So I actually have to say, I think this change in top lane dynamic is really working for the Saints because they're pulling Lee Sin consistently towards the top side of the map. So he's, just like Jarvan was kind of always bot side, he kind of has to spread that pressure around.
Yep, I think Lesley, what they're trying to do is not let the Yone get too big a lead. And the way you do that is by having your jungle on the top side. But while that's happening, the Saints win condition is on the other side of the map, entirely across, all the way down on the other side, which makes there ample opportunity windows that the Saints can take advantage of.
We do see Luna doing a great job kind of clearing out all this vision right here. Drag is coming up. Sunny is coming back to lane with Bork. It does seem like Lee Sin's on their first item, so Saints got to be careful right here in a position where Lee Sin could definitely try and find a pick.
Yep.
Slow doesn't land. Alt follow-up on to James. James is going to try to burn. Doesn't actually, he actually just chooses to save his alt right there. So that's the pick they were looking for.
That is the pick they were looking for. It was not 2 picks. It is potentially Jake, however. Let's see if the Saints are able to make anything off the knowledge that they just had 4 people in the bottom of the map, as there is a potential gank coming in here towards the top, but it might be a little bit too late. At least the Saints were able to get some vision in that top jungle. But overall, nice play by Lesley. Unfortunate for the Saints as they are not able to get some in return.
So the Saints could look to try and dive top lane here, but it looks like Luna's actually going to go around. She does step on vision right here, so now they do know that she is looking for this play. And actually, Ryze, I don't think Ryze should have poked Luna right there, because if they do go for a dive, Ryze can try and punish that. But Gig's up, so works out quite well. And let me see, I think a little bit like maybe like there's a disconnect for the mid laner of Lesley. See Lee Sin kind of sneaking through the back lane. Where is he going?
Oh!
Does get
that explosion.
And James, with an excellent stun, is able to kind of get out of there. Gabe's got to be careful.
Yep, they are communicating that. So Gabe is very much getting an earful to be careful, I would assume so.
So Lesley up 2 kills and 1,000 gold. But I want to say it's kind of tough to say which team scales better. Yone late game is very strong. Jinx late game is very strong. Veigar late game is very strong. But the Hecarim definitely falls off. And we do see another Ash Arrow coming in. Saints going to get punished here. But James should still have his ult. Does pop it. So they look like they want to fight this here as the TP from the Veigar comes in. Slow does miss. But Nate is fast enough. Just cannot land his stun. So that is brutal, and Lee Sin does not choose to re-engage. So really nice sidestep by the Lee Sin to avoid that slow from the Jinx. Arguably, all 3 of those members of the Saints are sitting on Flash. Could they have at least invested 1 Flash to try and get kills there? That's another question, but we'll see what happens. Sunny does get rooted, so really well use of utility from the Ryze. And there is the flash from Orianna. Ghost comes out for Luna, and Luna just can't push the Orianna backwards.
Yep.
You see, and there's the Lee Sin. Gonna land.
Counter gank.
Yep. Actually gonna miss the ult as well. I think he might have just avoided that last turret shot. I think he did, yeah. So Sunny will get out and survive. But he's got to be careful knowing that Lee Sin and that Q2 in the wrong direction is going to cost him. So he's going to be forced to try and draw it. And oh, the burn act. I don't know if it was that minion aggro or something.
Yep. As you can tell, sometimes Caden is the coach of their team, and he has a lot of give. But he has the benefit of sitting here on a chair just talking to all of you at home. He's not the one playing the game. I most definitely assure you it is not as easy as he makes it sound sometimes. And if he doesn't make it sound easy, that's because it isn't.
Very much so. So unfortunately, in most esports, you're actually, as a coach, you're not allowed to talk during the game to your athletes. So best I can do is kind of sit here, observe, and then provide my 2 cents. We do see Lee Sin looking for something in the mid lane. Will he be able to find it? I think he will. He actually is able to at least avoid that initial Q1 from the Lee Sin. Probably have to reset, low on HP.
Yep, a reset, not the end of the universe. I think what I do like by the Saints, what I've seen in the last 5 minutes or so, is that they are doing things and they are doing things together. They have at least tried certain things. They tried to put the 3 people bot lane. They, on the top lane, you went for the 0 HP and you just went for it. You did what you thought you could potentially do. You weren't playing not to lose, you were playing to win. And that's what I like to see.
Saints are definitely doing a little more limit testing. We do see Lee Sin coming towards the top, towards that Yone. Guess they probably didn't land the Q1 though, so looks like Sunny's kind of just Haunting, staying close, still can disengage. We see the Rise ult come in. Sunny doing a lot of damage because he is sitting on Bork. Does have his Q2. The Q into the ult is able to kill the Lee Sin, gets a shutdown as well. Can he get the follow-up onto the Rise? Rise doesn't have ult to disengage, but can root. Does not, and Sunny is able to pick it up. So Sunny absolutely doing everything he can. He's a man with his back against the wall, but he wants to win this game. He has all 5 kills for the Saints, and that was some miraculous gameplay. Surprised he was able to win the 2v1, considering he actually is not running Conqueror or Lethal Tempo. He's just running a rune that's going to give him some sustain in lane.
Surprised to do this. Oh, maybe we shouldn't have been that. Oh, I think that's not going to end well. Oh, this. Oh, that. No, just let them play, coach. Let them have some fun. They're probably enjoying themselves. That's an exciting play right there. No doubt about it. That's a wonderful play. Saints do have to be careful here in the bot lane, though.
I do agree.
I may need to eat my words right now. But there looks like the Rift Herald is being contested somewhat, not majorly. There is an opportunity here, but Lesley is able to steal Rift. There is still another opportunity to pounce on their mid laner, but I do not believe the Saints are able to take advantage of that, as the Lee Sin is now bot lane. Their bot lane is going to start taking the turret. They're probably going to head towards Drake. Let's see if the Saints have anything to say about that.
I think that's tough. They engage in the bot lane because the Jinx was so low on mana. It's really tough to try and win that. But I think if James actually just pops his ult a little earlier, they can still try and do something there. But nonetheless, that's going to be Lesley with 7 kills, 5 kills for the side of the Saints. The Saints still down. Drake is up.
Yes,
We do see they're going to be able to break this middle turret as well.
And may we note what might be actually the most pivotal aspect of this game that we've not pointed out yet. The major CS lead on the side of the Ashe right there. You can look on your screen all the way down to 4th from the bottom. Has over 32 more CS, which is normally equivalent to around 2 kills or so. A little bit more, in fact, on the favor of the Ashe. And the Saints will need to be able to make up time that has been slowly, those small losses have started to add up.
So despite what's getting closer to the later game, where actually I think the Saints comps thrives a little bit better, it does seem like some of the mistakes that they're making are costing them a little bit more. So now Lesley up to a 4K gold lead. They do have a second Drake as well. Let's see, is Sunny going to try and Q2 into the Rise? Doesn't look like it. But we do see that Sunny has his second item. So Sunny right now is actually the strongest character probably on the entire field, even stronger than that Ashe. We do see the Ashe is roaming topside.
I would, I am not necessarily the expert here, nor am I the traditionalist in the room. But I don't think switching the middle lane and the top laner might be the worst, because a Rise into a Veigar is not an uncommon mid matchup. And Yone's strong premise, just being in the mid lane, able to roam maybe a little bit more, even if it is slow. It might be a little unorthodox, but it would just ensure that Yone is able to get value towards that bot lane, which is the win condition at the end of the day.
We do see an engage coming out. Ashe Arrow comes in, does not land the stun, but Sunny's in a really bad position. Gets ulted, dismisses. Can he use his ult? He can't even use his ult in time. And that'll be 2 kills for the side of Lesley University. So despite Lesley aggressively pushing into the Saints' territory of the jungle, just don't have the rotational power out of a Jinx and Taric to catch up to that. And that'll be Lesley extending their lead.
I do believe the Saints had a similar idea to what I suggested. However, they switched the bot in mid lane instead. As you can now see, the Veigar fighting this second tower. For the second tower of the Saints in the middle lane might get it out of its time in this game.
James popping his ult, and it does land in time, so he is going to at least be able to live and prevent this dive right here. Does the Lee Sin look for more? Tower is low, and they're probably going to be able to kill the tower right here. Just unable to. We're going to see what looks like... Looks like members of Lesley kind of still float and everything, waiting for something to happen. So they're gonna farm up all the camps of the St. Lawrence jungler.
Yep. Luna has not had a very fun time, to say the least, as what's been rightfully hers in her jungle camps has been taken away constantly throughout both matches.
Unfortunately, Sunny just puts Rise to 1 HP and just can't get the kill. That'll be the shield bow going off. So Rise able to survive that dive. Yone pretty good at diving, but I think the Saints really got to utilize the fact that they have a strong Yone on the top side. If Yone can get onto Ashe, Yone can probably kill Ashe, but at this point in time, I don't know if the Saints have the capacity or capability to do that. So we're going to see Sunny reset. Saints looking to take a little bit of map control on the top side of the map, and Sunny might look to stay here, but how much can he do? He's really low HP.
Yep. However, they do have a numbers advantage of 4v2, I do believe, towards this top side, if they make it work.
I think they are going to re-engage onto the Yone. Ult goes out. Yone not dead yet. Does manage to avoid the Q1, but that will be Orianna with a double jungle.
It looks like we might be setting up for a major team fight here, or the Saints have made the decision that it is not worth contesting. Except, like Nate Whittemore and that Vigar might be making something to say about that.
Looks to get a little bit of poke, and Nate's got to be careful here because the moment they wrap around his tower, he's pretty much stuck up here. And,
Yep,
it looks like
and
it's
his hammer's up.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happened. So Nate, kind of in a 5v1, probably going to be able to survive for a little bit, but doesn't look like it's going to turn into much. Actually, will it be able to flash out? So good positioning. Is able to at least survive the dive, but playing around that tower right there, pretty much as good as gone, knowing that Lee Sin can kind of go over the wall.
Yep, but as you can see, as good as gone does not mean gone, as he is max HP almost, and I think Nate's just trying to be as much of a pain as he can, while Luna tries to farm the Lee Sin's jungle camp now. This is something we have not seen as much in the 2 games to date.
So I think what's going to be interesting to see is right now, there
that,
could be...
That Ashe right now, if you look, there is a window. We don't know if they're able to take it. They're not going to be able to take it.
I'm willing to bet
There
the
is no
Ashe is just
window
going to...
anymore.
Yeah,
It's
the
too
Ashe is
late
going to
now.
engage on the Hecarim, and Saints are just not in a position to try and be able to capitalize and help with that.
Nope. Needed to be preparation to get off that, as now it looks like there's going to be a battle for that Drake, or as battle as much as the Saints can afford to battle right now.
So it looks like Saints are kind of just going to keep going back to farming, and I think the game, very similar to Game 1, is definitely at this teetering point where if the Saints can't find a way or something to do with shutdowns or just something in the next few minutes, it's going to turn into a very difficult game to win. Sunny kind of looking to steal the Drake, is unable to, almost actually had the opportunity to do, but that will be another kill and an objective for the side of Lesley University.
Yep, we are now seeing that goal differential reach the number of, I believe, 8. Forgive my math if it is wrong. 1,000 is no small feat to overcome. Every single team member of Lesley Lynxes has a shutdown on their name, and this is an opportunity. If they get the right shutdowns, there is still a swing. 8 is not as much down as they were previously. They were down roughly 33%, as there is potentially an overreach, but they are so strong that it just, even if they're able to trap people under their turrets, under their base, there's only so much they can do.
So Nate's scaling, but he's just not able to do enough damage at this stage in the game. It looks like Lesley is just slowly able to push the Saints in, exactly what they're trying to do. I mean, multiple members of the Saints taking a lot of damage, just trying to prevent themselves from getting poked out from under turret, as the fact that they're running a double mage composition on Lesley pretty much means they can siege towers very well.
I do believe that they are headed back towards Baron at this point.
Yep, so it looks like Lesley's going to reposition, secure the Baron right here, which will increase their gold lead and make it easier for them to be able to put some structures. So we'll see if the Saints are going to try to contest this objective here. It does seem like they're going to get some vision down.
And Lesley may have not acted as fast as they should have. Everyone needs to be very careful at the exact positioning they're standing at right now.
That will be, I mean, it position. I don't think even the Saints can even contest Baron. They're way too weak, and they don't have any vision. It's very much going to go sorely for them if they try to. It looks like they do kind of realize that they are backing off. And Ash Arrow comes in, and Gabe does get picked off by that Ash Arrow. We will see a stun, and Vagar's starting to do a little more damage. And Luna gets picked by the R of the Orianna. Game's forced to pop all. Actually, doesn't pop all. Doesn't even have it. Honey kind of caught out, and again, Saints sticking underneath a turret, knowing that they can get pincered. And unfortunately, Lee Sin's going to wrap behind them. And now Saints are in a really tough position where they can't even really get back to their turret. Sunny going to do some damage. Doesn't land his Q2. He needs to reposition with that, and he will get picked. And that's more gold in the pockets of Lesley University, and they will be looking to crash this mid-super wave and try to end the game.
I would like to point out that before this game has ended is just kind of the risk of playing a character who scales very late game. You look at our mid laner's stats right now, they were 0, 0, and 0, which means they have 0 kills, but also 0 deaths, which means they have been unable to make much of an impact, as that is their first death of the game right there. That is basically game over for the Saints. Maybe a Hail Mary effort here or there.
Yeah, and it looks like Lesley just holding them in spawn. So that will be game, set, match. Lesley with a very dominant showing into St. Lawrence University, 2 back-to-back games. So the Saints definitely going to have to go back to the drawing board, figure out what they can do going into week 4, as we still do have that reschedule. So coming off of kind of a short period, a little bit of a break, where they have to recuperate as a group, hoping to find some momentum going into week 4. But we'll be right back with our player interview.
Welcome back, Saints families and family members, and whoever else tunes into the stream. I am joined by James Fry, who has a smile on his face.
Oh,
His
yes.
very red face. As you can tell, gaming is in a very intense moment. He is giving me a side eye. I apologize. How do you think draft went?
Draft is tricky. We are still ironing some things out. A lot of our players are working with very limited pools, and I think Game 1 draft for us looked a lot better than Game 2. Even though Game 2 we ended up performing a little better, just staying in it longer. I think that was just experience. I liked our Game 1 draft a lot better. Disappointed to not see it turn out. I think had we been able to hold on just a little bit longer, that Ornn comes online, the Orianna comes online, maybe our Jinx gets some kills, we could have been in a pretty good spot, but yeah, just struggling with keeping things cohesive and moving in the same direction.
Yep. And do you think moving forward has the goals of practice been to expand the agent pool to allow for more flexibility, or what do you think is going to be next week's practice focus to say?
Yeah, so I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think previously, I had been more interested in working around people's current champion pools, and now I'm really looking to try and expand those pools, and so that we can play something that we're all confident playing. Right now, each player has their own thing that they want to do, and they play champions that want to do those things. And unfortunately, we're not all synced up on what we want to do, and so I'm trying to identify something that I know that we can do, and then have us all play things that can work towards that.
And do you think, do you think moving forward, like as, an athlete with League of Legends, but also just like as a team in general, that this loss is going to be something you guys keep in the memory, because you've played this team before?
This loss is going to be something that stays in the memory because our last loss against this team stuck in our heads. I mean, that was, our only lost game during the season last season, and through, point differential, pretty much. We were actually able to come out as the first seed out of our bracket. But it was a pretty similar situation. It's we were riding high off of our first game. Our second game got rescheduled, so that's a little tricky. So this is really our second game, and pretty early on we've been taken down a peg. And so I hope it sticks with us. I hope people identify that, they kind of just played better than us. They were observably more coordinated. And so I hope that it sticks with people.
Interesting that you hope it sticks with people. Some people, they're like, I just want to move on. Other people, they hope it sticks. But we hope you guys are sticking around for future esports broadcasts, such as the one tomorrow, which will be Overwatch, as they are having a game, I believe their third game of the season. And we are going to say so long and have a wonderful rest of your evenings.
Bye-bye.
Oops, this is starting soon.